When you think about, hold on, it's that cut. Dog read this shit. About 16 and you don't. So, hold up. So, when you think about what's going on, right, in the community, in the way that our community is reported on, right? We're not victims of anything, you know. We're willing participants in most of the bullshit, right? So that thing is spreading throughout the community. And when you think about that, right, and then you think about a couple years ago when the vaccine was being pushed through the community, when everybody was forced to get that jab if they wanted to work, because you couldn't even cough in public, right? So reports came out that that thing was, you know, contaminated with that thing. And, you know, our community supposedly needed it the most because, you know, like with anything, everything hits our community the hardest. You know, whatever. Even though here we were required to have it, but at the time when people was coming over, they wasn't required to have it, right? Crazy how that works, right? But now we have that thing spreading like wildfire, right? Now, thing about that is, if you ask me, my opinion, I feel like when it comes to this country, the agenda is what it's always been, right? To wipe us out by any means necessary. I could be wrong. You know, I've been wrong before. But this is what I think, right? Because they have done a lot of experiments in our community in the past when it comes to contaminating our waters. The Tuskegee experiment. I'm pretty sure there's plenty more that I can't think of right now, and there's plenty more that I don't know about, right? You talking about people that are bombed neighborhoods, flooded neighborhoods. I mean, we coming up on the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina when they were basically out nigga hunting. You feel me? You couldn't. Basically out nigga hunting. You feel me? Your neighborhood was being flooded and you weren't allowed to leave it. If they caught you in the neighborhood you weren't supposed to be in, they automatically assumed you was looting and they had the right to put you down. All right? And people was like, yeah, because they're stealing shit. Not the fact that you got people basically stranded on top of their houses, stranded on the bridge or whatever. It didn't matter. You know what I mean? The leverage was breached, if you believe that was by flood waters or that was done intentionally. A lot of people believe that it was done purposely. I believe it was. You know what I mean? But whatever. I wasn't there. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. But if you ask me, everything that happens in our community is part of a bigger agenda, right? Rappers coming out dressed like Gangsta, licious. The type of female artist that's being pushed or that's always being pushed. You feel me? And then they call it our culture. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess homosexual rappers is our culture. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But when you look at who has the say so and the control of it, you know what I'm saying? The execs, the people that get the final say so, of, you know, you think about this, right? You put a project together, you send it in, and the people that listen to it, they like, nah, because they know what they're looking for, because they are part of the majority that buys the majority of the music. You know what I mean? A lot of music is bought by the mainstream. And mainstream artists, when you go mainstream, your fan base is mostly uh, people of non-color. That means your fan base has expanded outside of the black community. That's basically what it means when you go mainstream, right? So the execs know that these people don't want to hear none of this. They don't want to hear none of this positive, good shit from you. You know what I mean? They want to hear ratchet, stereotypical shit. You know, they want to hear Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society type shit, South Central type shit. You feel me? They don't want to hear all that kumbaya shit. They don't hear none of that. You feel me? They don't want to hear that uplifting. They don't want to hear none of that shit. They don't want to hear real R&B love songs from you. No, they want to hear side chick drama, baby mama drama. Um, Basically, I'm cheating, you cheating, we all cheating. You feel me? The baby not mine. Abort that. They don't want to hear no we in love, we a family type shit. You know what I mean? When they want to hear shit like that, they'll have those songs written for like a Taylor Swift or something. You feel me? For real. This is real shit. The music industry. I mean, Taylor Swift is like one of the biggest artists in the world, and I don't know none of her music, but it's not meant for me. I'm just saying. You feel me? And there's a lot of rappers, new age rappers and shit. I don't know none of these people. My kids know them, and some music they play, and I be like, this nigga ain't talking about nothing. But hey, that music is not for me. You feel me? They not promoting that music for my age range, or you know what I mean, or my bracket. You know what I'm saying? So, but when it comes to that, you know, I always let my kids know that like this is like entertainment. You know, you got to listen to these rappers and shit. And the same way you would watch a movie. You feel me? It's fake. You know what I mean? Depending on who you listening to. I mean, you have some truth sprinkled in, but just like with movies, and just like with movies, here in America or worldwide, you know, psyops, false flags, or we'll use yeah, I'm finna get off this music shit. We'll use tragedy to push things, like 9/11 was used to push the Patriot Act, right? So a lot of trans motherfuckers been just going crazy and shooting up schools and churn and shit, right? So they're gonna use this recent event to push a program called AI program, I think, called Gideon, right? And from what I heard, this is something like the Minority Reporter, if I'm not mistaken, right? So I done seen this on a couple shows I done seen, right? I think The Feed or something like that, where they're gonna start arresting people for crimes that they could commit. So, you know, they're gonna be monitoring your posts, and you know, they already, if you got an iPhone, they already read all your messages and shit. If you got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of this shit, they already got all in your messages and shit. That's why you're all in your data and selling your data to everybody and shit. That's why a nigga get like 1,000 calls a day from random numbers and shit. People trying to sell me stuff, or whatever. All right. I can't even check my messages because I got like 50 messages from all automated systems and shit. Okay, so text me if you want something. But they texting me, they texting now. Shit, so. But anyway, damn, way off. But not. So, yeah, man. So, they're gonna try to disarm you, which they've been trying to do that for a while. You feel me? Which I don't understand why they're trying to disarm you. They got all kind of guns and all kind of weaponry that you have never seen. You feel me? Them automated drones. You feel me? Probably can fly by and bomb the whole neighborhood. Well, I know they can because I'm watching this happen in real time in Ukraine and Gaza, and I watched this happen in Tel Aviv. You know, so real time. So I know what the damage these drones can do, right? The big boy military drones, right? So you feel me? So, and this is why if you don't pay attention to what's going on, you're gonna end up living in the real life 90s movie, right? Because these people, they don't look at us the way that we look at us. I'm talking about no matter what your color is or what you believe or nothing. You feel me? If you're not part of the elite, you're not part of a special class of people. To them, you're just sheep. You're like cattle, right? You were put here to serve. So you're not gonna own anything. That's why everything that's going up now, they don't really build houses anymore, unless you stay in one of those communities where these people have money and POA fees. You feel me? Golf courses and shit. People that you know, they can just make a call. They got on-site security and people bringing them. They don't even have to leave the community if they don't want to, right? So unless you living like that, everywhere else they're not really building homes like that. Everything is apartments. I'm talking about big boy units. They call them condos, but they look like projects to me, right? But anyway, so you're not gonna own anything. So it's gonna be to the point you don't really own anything now, because even when you buy a car, you got to keep paying on it. That's what insurance for. You buy a house, you got to keep paying on it. That's what all these insurance for: flood insurance, fire insurance. Then you got to pay taxes on it. So you never outright own anything. You know, they can put a lien on your house. They can take your house. Somebody can buy your house at an auction or whatever they call that shit. Right? So you don't really own anything, right? And people look at that as normal. You know what I mean? So the last 20 years, 40 years, whatever it's been, a lot of shit has been normalized. That's not normal, right? You're basically here. You're gonna work until you die, because you're never gonna be able to save any money, because you're never gonna make enough, right? So, and all the money you got coming in don't match the money that's going out, right? So you're never gonna make enough money to actually retire, right? And then when you do retire, if you outlive your retirement fund, you're gonna be working again, and that's gonna be most people, right? Most people die right after they retire, so they don't really have to deal with that. But if you manage to outlive your retirement fund, you're gonna be working again somewhere, right? I know a lot of elders that's working because they don't have a choice. Social Security don't pay for everything. They can't afford to live, so they have to go back to work part-time, right? And it's fucked up, but it is what it is. It's life. That's what it is. You know what I mean? So I know I'm all over the place with it, but in general, when I think about the media and the things I see on the news every morning, right? Besides the news, basically like a brainwashing tool to push certain ideas and agendas, right? So they want you to think a certain way, right? So everything is scripted, just like a TV show. I mean, like I always say, this whole thing is like an episode of like the Truman Show that we live in, or the Matrix, or whatever you want to call it, right? The media plants ideas in your head. You know, it's the way that it's the word play, the way that things are worded, the way that things are said. You see that even with content creation. Everybody knows certain content it's gonna get you money. So everybody words their content away so they can get paid. Right? So even content creators are biased, you know, because they know certain content is gonna make them money. That's why I say this all the time. Black bashing is gonna make you money. So anything that's going on in the world that's negative or something to look down on, we're gonna something that everybody can agree that's either like that's just some disgusting vile shit or something that's ghetto. You feel me? Even though I know that term has been um, placed upon us, but ghetto is a German word. You know what I mean? People don't even know the origins of ghetto, just like people don't know the origins of slave. Because when you think of slave, you think of black, and that's because, like I said, every year there's 2 or 3 new slave movies. You feel me? So when people say, but you know, slave came from Slavia because this and that. Yeah, but when you look at Hollywood and movies, just think of who run Hollywood, and then you'll understand why when it comes to Hollywood and music, and you think of all the execs and the people that run it. Then you wonder what their problem is with us because they use they platforms to step on us like a motherfucker. But we friends with everybody. We such a loving people. We give everybody the benefit of the doubt. They don't like us. People do not like us. These people in these positions do not like us, and they show us every fucking day with their movies, with their music, with their media, with their content. They don't like us. I mean, with the shit they put in our community, um, our foods. Look in our neighborhoods. Look at the food stores in our neighborhoods. Just everything is meant to poison us. Look at the water, how they funnel our water in. You know what I mean? So they intentionally uh, contaminate our water to see how it affects us and shit. And you know what I mean? Our air to see how it affects us and shit. You feel me? We're like that. We're used as guinea pigs for everything they have going on, right? But we're so friendly as a people. We don't look at it that way. But it is what it is. We'll find out, and one day we'll wake up to it.